Okay, now we're going to merge our double wishbone suspension into our jalopy model. And I'm going to make this a little bit easier. I have a file we can import which is called align balls. So I'm going to come to the rig, select that collection, and let's just import that file. It's an OBJ file, align balls, and it's really small. And it's just these little balls or spheres that are going to help us align the geometry. While they're all selected, let's go ahead and set their origin to where they need to be. So origin to center of mass volume, and now they're all in the appropriate spot there. Okay, now we need to go back to our suspension here, and let's copy all of this. So we want the double wishbone suspension we designed, and we want the controller, and then press Control C, and that's going to copy everything to the clipboard so we can paste it directly into our model. But before we do that, let's make sure we're in our rig front suspension collection so that when we paste it, it puts it all in there. I'm going to do Control V, and it pasted it all in there. The controller should be in the rig, so I'm going to drag that down, drag it to the rig collection. And now we can align this with our front suspension geometry. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this alignment sphere for the wheel, which is right here actually. And we want to move it to where the tire center is. But our tire center doesn't have the correct origin point either, so let's recalculate that. Now it's in the center. I'm going to move the cursor there. Cursor to selected. And now let's go ahead and turn off the modeled parts. So now we should have everything we need to align everything. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this alignment sphere, it's for our wheel, and I'm going to move it to the cursor. Selection to cursor. Okay. Actually, let's turn on our front suspension one more time here, because we actually need to move this and align it. So I'm going to move this sphere along the X. Oops. GX. So we need to align it so it's on top or in the center of the front tire. So let's do that. GX. It's about right there. And then we need to scale it so it's a little bit smaller. And then recenter it. So something like that, maybe a little bit smaller. So maybe something like that. I think that looks good. All right, now we can turn off the modeled parts. And let's start aligning everything else. So we have a bunch of align balls. We have 3 on top, which is going to be our upper control arm, 3 on the bottom, which is going to be our lower control arm, and then we have these 2, which are going to be for our steering. Let's go ahead and do our steering first. So I'm going to take this alignment sphere, or alignment empty, and I'm going to shift select this alignment ball and do it from a top view. So this alignment ball, and do Shift S, selection to active. And that's going to align it kind of, but we actually want the X value to be 0. So let's just do that here. 0. Okay. Now I need to align this alignment sphere, or empty, to this alignment ball. Shift S, selection active, and we can do this outboard one also, selection to active. Okay, now let's do our upper control arm. So let's select this sphere, top view, so it's going to be the upper one, and then let's move it to this alignment ball, selection to active, and then we can align this one here, selection to active, and this outboard one here, selection to active. Okay, now we just have one more to do. This control arm, it's going to go to this ball, selection to active, selection to active, and you can kind of see it down here. Move this one to here, selection to active. All right, now we just need to move our shock. Let's go into a front view, and I'm going to move the shock about right there, and I'm going to cant it in a little bit and bring it down about right there. And I'm just going to move it out so it's in front of the front tire, like that. So now we can try this out. We can make a few adjustments. So let's select the subframe and go to its properties. And actually I'm going to set the steering to 0 here. All right, let's go to our subframe. Press Control S before you press play, and let's play it. All right, it looks like our shock travel is maybe a little too, well, I think it looks okay, actually. We do need to set our rigid body world, so let's make this 100. And let's go ahead and increase our cache to 2000 and our timeline to 2000, like that. Press play, and it looks like it's working. Let's try out our steering. Looks like our steering limits are a little too high. So let's adjust that with our subframe. We are going to change the steering distance. Let's do that 0.075, like that. Press play. Select our controller. And that looks a lot better. So that looks like our steering is working like we want it. It doesn't look like, I think we need to connect our shock to our, we can connect our shock to our lower control arm. So right now it's connected to the upright. Let's connect it to the lower control arm. All right, now let's try it out. All right, that looks better. All right,